Good morning students. In our last class we was discussing about reproduction in organism. In this chapter we have studied about the meaning of reproduction, types of reproduction, that is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction we have discussed the different types like fission, budding, fragmentation, spore formation and vegetative propagation. In vegetative propagation we have come across different examples like runner, rhizome, tuber, sucker, bulb of onion, bulbil of agave. And we have also discussed some of the techniques used in artificial vegetative propagation like cutting, layering and grafting. Today in this session we will be studying about sexual reproduction. What is sexual reproduction? It is the reproduction which involves the formation of male and female gametes either by the same individual or different individual of opposite sex. I will repeat, it is the reproduction that involves the formation of male and female gametes either by the same individual or by different individual of opposite sex. Here in sexual reproduction the sexes are involved. Sexes are nothing but gametes, where the fusion of male and female gametes leads to the formation of new individual. The new individuals or the new daughter organisms which are formed are not identical to their parents or amongst themselves. Here in sexual reproduction it is an elaborate, complex and slow process as compared to asexual reproduction. Here in sexual reproduction there is lot of variations is seen. For example, if father has got brown eyes, mother has got black eyes, and the newborn baby or the new individuals which is produced will be having blue eyes. This is how the variation seen, especially in sexual reproduction. Now, which organisms undergo sexual mode of reproduction? That is higher plants and higher animals which is having complex body organization will undergo sexual mode of reproduction. We are already having asexual reproduction. Then why this sexual reproduction? Are there any advantages in sexual reproduction? Yes. First advantage, to incorporate variation in species which in turn ensures the survival of species. That means the organisms want to cope up or want to survive during unfavorable condition, so this sexual reproduction is very much necessary. Each individual in a species has its own uniqueness and identity. The newborn individual will be having mixed genes which are shared by both father as well as mother. So that is how the uniqueness or the new identity is seen, especially in sexual reproduction. And it enables the organisms to survive under unfavorable condition. It is also one advantage in sexual reproduction. Now, when can an organism sexually reproduce? Here the three phases exist. The first phase is called juvenile phase, the second phase is called as reproductive phase, the third phase is called as senescence phase. What is this juvenile phase? It is the period of growth to reach maturity for sexual reproduction. Such phase is called as juvenile phase, and in plants it is termed as vegetative phase. I will repeat, it is the period of growth to reach maturity for undergoing sexual reproduction. Such phase is called as juvenile phase, but in plants it is termed as vegetative phase. Next, reproductive phase. It is the period of which follows the juvenile phase. It is the period which follows the juvenile phase. After maturity, the reproductive phase occurs. That means the organisms have the capable of reproducing a new organism. Such phase is called as reproductive phase. I will repeat, it is the period which follows the juvenile phase. After maturity, the reproductive phase starts. The organism have the capability of reproducing a new individual. The third phase is the senescent phase. Senescent phase is the last phase of the lifespan, or it begins after the end of reproductive phase, where the aging happens in the every organisms. This is about senescent phase. In higher plants, the flowering indicates the end of vegetative phase. we know that flower is the reproductive part of a plant. As soon as flowering occurs, this indicates the end of vegetative phase and it is the beginning of reproductive phase. Annual and biennial plants shows clear-cut vegetative, reproductive and senescent phase. These annual plants, the life cycle completes within a year. The biennial plants complete its lifespan within 2 years. So only it shows the clear-cut vegetative, reproductive and senescent phase. In perennial plants means where the plants complete its life cycle more than 2 years. This phase is very much difficult to identify. And there are some of the plants which exhibit unusual flowering. For example, bamboo flower, which exhibits once in lifespan. After 50 to 100 years, it produces large number of fruits and later it dies. Here in this image you can have a look about the bamboo flower. And there is one more example, that is Strobilanthes kunthiana. This flower exhibit once in 12 years. In animals, the juvenile phase is followed by morphological and physiological changes prior to active the reproductive behavior. In animals, this juvenile phase is followed by morphological and physiological changes. That means lot of morphological changes taking place within the body, and there may be growth of reproductive tissues and organs within the body, and that is how it mainly takes place with respect to juvenile phase, especially in animals. Now moving on to the reproductive phase in plants. The plants enter the reproductive phase once in lifetime. The reproductive phase in plants is broadly classified into two categories, that is monocarpic plants and polycarpic plants. As the name says, mono means single. These are those plants where the flower occur once in lifetime. Example, wheat, rice, carrot. The second one is polycarpic plants. These are the plants where the flower occur at regular intervals. That means when the plant enter the reproductive phase, it is capable of producing the flowers. After some time it stops and again the flowering continues. It mainly happens in polycarpic plants, or we can also say the flower blossoms only during certain seasons, or we also call it as seasonal plants. Example is apple, orange, mango. So only we get mango in only certain seasons like May, June, July, like that. The next concept is reproductive phase in animals. Here we have got two cycles, menstrual cycle and estrous cycle. What is this menstrual cycle? The females of placental mammals exhibit certain cyclic changes in the ovary, accessory duct and hormones of primates during the reproductive phase. Such cycle is called as menstrual cycle. The females of placental mammals exhibit cyclic changes in the ovary, accessory duct. Accessory duct includes oviduct, vagina, uterus, and hormones of primates during the reproductive phase. Such cycle is called as menstrual cycle. It is mostly seen in primates, that is human, monkey, apes. Next cycle is estrous cycle. The females of placental mammals exhibit cyclic changes in ovaries and accessory duct and hormones of non-primates. This is very important. During the reproductive phase, such cycle is called as estrous cycle. It is seen in cat, dog, sheep, goat, deer, etc. We will repeat once again. What is this estrous cycle? It is nothing but the females of placental mammals exhibit cyclic changes in the ovary, accessory duct and hormones of non-primates. Such cycle is called as estrous cycle. During the reproductive phase, this estrous cycle happens. The best example is dog, cat, elephant, sheep, goat, etc. Based on the breeding season, the mammals are of two types: seasonal breeders and continuous breeders. What are these seasonal breeders? As the name says, the mammals living in natural wild condition exhibit the reproductive cycle only during favorable season. Such mammals are called as seasonal breeders. The best examples is birds, goat, sheep. Next one is continuous breeders. Here the mammals are reproductively active throughout their reproductive phase. Such mammals are called as continuous breeders. It mainly happens in primates, rabbit, rat, etc. Next, moving on to the senescence, that is the last phase of lifespan, and it is the end of reproductive phase. During this senescent phase, there are some concomitant changes taking place. That means the metabolic changes, what it is taking place within our body, will stop, and ultimately the organism end with death. In plants and animals, the hormone cause transition between juvenile phase, reproductive phase and senescent phase. The hormones plays a major role. For example, in males, the hormone that is testosterone will show secondary sexual characters, that is growth of mustache, beard, and in females it has got an hormone that is progesterone and estrogen. Estrogen shows secondary sexual characters, and the female will be undergoing puberty at the age of 10 to 12 years. And one more hormone in females, especially progesterone, it supports the female body and also during pregnancy. Interaction between hormones and environmental factors regulate the reproductive process. The hormones plays a major role in our reproductive process, where there are certain changes taking place when a new individual attains puberty. Lot of reproductive tissues are taking place and lot of new reproductive organs growing within the body. So that is how it regulates the reproductive processes and associated behavioral expression of organism, so that the behavior of the organism will also be changed. Now let us see the differences between asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction, it mainly occurs in lower invertebrates, lower chordates and plants with simple body organization. What about this sexual reproduction? It occurs in higher plants and animals having complex body organization. It is always uniparental. Asexual reproduction involves only single parent. What about sexual reproduction? It is usually biparent. It includes two parents, that is male gamete as well as female gamete. Here in asexual reproduction there are no gametes formed. What about in sexual reproduction? The gametes are formed. In asexual reproduction there is no any fertilization, whereas in sexual reproduction fertilization takes place. It involves only mitosis. What about in sexual reproduction? It involves both meiosis as well as mitosis, where the chromosome number will be reduced to half and the equational cell division also take place with respect to sexual reproduction. The newborn organisms or the new daughter organisms are genetically similar to the parents with respect to asexual reproduction, and they are often called as clones. What about in sexual reproduction? The new organisms or the daughter organisms are genetically not similar to parents. Here in asexual reproduction the multiplication is very much rapid. One organism has the capacity of producing hundreds of new organisms. What about in sexual reproduction? We have already told it is a elaborate, complex and slow process, so the multiplication and the growth rate is very much slow as compared to asexual reproduction. And in asexual reproduction there is no any variation seen, so it does not contribute to the evolution of new species. What about in sexual reproduction? There is lot of variation seen, hence it contributes to the evolution of new species. Now moving on to the next concept, events in sexual reproduction, or we also called as stages in sexual reproduction. There are three events in sexual reproduction. The first event is called as pre-fertilization event. Pre-fertilization event means the fertilization that takes place prior to fertilization. It includes gametogenesis and gamete transfer. Gametogenesis. Genesis means the formation of two gametes, both male as well as female. Gamete transfer. For the fusion of both gametes, there should be a medium. It may be water or any other medium, that we will discuss later. The second event is fertilization, where the fusion of male gamete as well as female gamete to form a zygote. It is also called as syngamy. And the third event is post fertilization event, that is what are the changes that takes place after fertilization. Now let us study in detail one by one. First one is pre-fertilization event. This event takes place prior to fertilization. That means before fertilization, what are the changes taking place? It includes two types, gametogenesis and gamete transfer. What is gametogenesis? It is the process of formation of male and female gametes. The gametes are also called as sex organ, or it is also called as haploid cells, where the gametes are of two types, homogametes and heterogametes. The homogametes are also called as isogametes. As the name says, homo means same. Here the gametes are very much similar and they are not distinguished into male and female. They cannot be categorized into male and female gametes. They are very much similar. It is seen in some algae, that is Cladophora. The best example is Cladophora. It is one of the algae. The next one is heterogametes. Hetero means different. The male and female gametes are of distinct types. Both male and female gamete are different from one another. The male gamete is called as antherozoid. It is also called as sperm. And the male gamete is motile, where it can move from one place to another. And the female gamete is called as egg or ovum. It is stationary or it is non-motile. For heterogametes, we can take the best example is human, which includes both male as well as female gametes. The male gamete is sperm, the female gamete is ovum. And it is also seen in some algae, that is fucus. Moving on to the next concept, that is sexuality in organisms. That is bisexual organisms as well as unisexual organisms. What is this bisexual? Bi means two. Here the male and the female reproductive part are present on the same individual. Such organisms are called as bisexual organisms. I repeat, bisexual organisms are nothing but the male and the female reproductive part are present on the same individual. Such organisms are called as bisexual organisms. Bisexual plants. Here we can consider hibiscus and Pisum sativum. Here in the flowering plants, the male flower, that is staminate, which bears the male reproductive part, stamens, and the female flower, that is pistillate, which bears pistil, that is the female reproductive part. If the male flower and the female flower are present on the same plant, then it is called as monoecious condition, or we also called as monoecious plant. It is seen in cucurbits and coconut. I repeat, if the male and the female flower are present on the same plant, then that condition is called as monoecious. The best example is cucurbit and coconuts. Next, bisexual animals. If the animals having both male gamete and female gamete in the same individual, such animals are called as bisexual animals, and they are often termed as hermaphrodites because they include both male gamete and female gamete in the same individual. The best example is earthworm, leech, sponge and tapeworm. Next, moving on to the unisexual organism. Uni means single. Here the male and the female reproductive part are present in different individuals. Such organisms are called as unisexual organisms. I repeat, the male and the female reproductive structure are present on different individuals. Such organisms are called as unisexual organisms. If the male and the female flowers are present on different plants, and that condition is called as dioecious. If both the male and the female gamete are different from one another, and that plant we call as dioecious. It is seen in papaya and date palm. Okay, next is about unisexual animals. The organisms possess either male gamete or female gamete within the body. Such animals are called as unisexual animals. The best example is human. We have got male gametes, females especially they have got female gametes. The best example is human beings, and one more we can take cockroach. Here in cockroach, the female is very much larger than male. The fungi may be homothallic or heterothallic. Why? Because they reproduce through spore formation. Here in this image we can get a clear idea. This image, when you have a look, here in earthworm it has got both male gamete, that is testis, as well as the female sex organ, that is ovary, within the same individual. Such animals are called as bisexual animal. In this second image we have got two images of the same individual, that is male cockroach and female cockroach. The female cockroach is little bigger than male cockroach. The male cockroach has got the sex organ, that is testis. The female cockroach has got the female sex organ, that is ovary. These two are different from one another, and these animals are called as unisexual animals. In the third image, the best example is chara. They are monoecious in condition. That means both the male reproductive part, what we call that as antheridium, and the female reproductive part, what we call that oogonium, are present in the same individual. Hence this plant is called as monoecious plant. Next, in the fourth image you can see the image of Markensia. Here we have got male thallus as well as female thallus. The male thallus we called as antheridiopore, and the female thallus we called as archegoniospore. Here the two individuals, the male gamete as well as the female gamete, are present in different, hence they are called as what? Dioecious plant. That means both the male gamete as well as the female gamete is present in different individuals, hence they are called as dioecious plant. Now moving on to the last image, that is sweet potato. Here you can have a look. The stamen, that is the male reproductive part, and the carpel, that is the female reproductive part, they are present in the same individual, hence this is called as bisexual flower. That is the example of sweet potato. Now moving on to the next concept, how the gametes are formed. The gametes are mostly formed from the parent body. Either it may be haploid parent body or diploid parent body. The haploid parent body is represented as small n. The diploid parent body is represented as 2n. Here in haploid parent body, the gametes are formed by mitosis, where equational cell division takes place. Here the chromosome number does not get reduced. It is seen in monerans, fungi, algae and bryophytes. What about this diploid parent body? It is mostly seen in human beings, where the gametes are formed by meiosis, where the chromosome number will be reduced into half. There is a specialized gamete mother cells, they are called as meiocytes. Let us take one example. The chromosome number of human is 46, where the chromosome number is reduced into half, that is 23 with respect to male parent and 23 with respect to female parent. When they combine with each other to form a zygote, the total chromosome number is 46. Let us take one more example. Dog, the chromosome number, that is the meiocytes chromosome number of dog is 78. The male gamete is having 39, the female gamete is having 39. When these two, male gamete and female gamete, combine with each other to form a zygote, the total chromosome number of meiocytes is 78. Here we have got few examples with respect to chromosome number in meiocytes, which is diploid in condition, and chromosome number, that is haploid in condition. Let us take one more example. The rat, the chromosome number in meiocytes, that is 42, it has got 21, where the chromosome number is reduced into half. 21 plus 21 gives rise to 42. Dog, it has got the chromosome number is 78 in meiocytes. When the chromosome number is reduced into half during meiosis, that is 39 of male parent and 39 of female parent. When they combine to form a zygote, the total chromosome number is 78. Next, moving on to the next concept, that is gamete transfer. For the formation of new individuals, both male gamete and female gamete should fuse to each other. That means the male gamete should come in contact with female gamete for undergoing fertilization. The male gametes need a medium to move towards the female gamete for undergoing fertilization. We already know that the male gamete is motile, whereas the female gamete, that is egg, it is stationary or non-motile. During certain condition, for example, let us consider algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes. These are the simple plants where the male gametes move towards the female gametes through a medium, that is water. During that time, the large amount of male gametes are produced. And there is one more. In case of fungi and algae, the male gametes and the female gametes both are present and they are mostly motile. In the seed plants, the pollen grains of male reproductive part should reach the female reproductive part. That is the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of a plant. This process is called as pollination, where the pollen grains will be transferred from the male reproductive part. The male reproductive part we call as anther. It should reach towards the female reproductive part, that is the stigma. And this process, what we call it as pollination. In pollination, we have got two types. The first one is self-pollination. Second one is cross-pollination. What is self-pollination? When pollen grains move from anther to stigma of a same plant, such pollination is called as self-pollination. I repeat, when pollen grains transfer from anther to stigma of a same plant, such pollination is called as self-pollination. What about this cross-pollination? When pollen grains transfer the anther from one flower to the stigma of another flower, such pollination is called as cross-pollination. I repeat, when pollen grains move from anther of one flower to reach the stigma of another flower, such pollination is called as cross-pollination. How these pollen grains are transferred to reach the stigma of another flower? There should be certain mediums, or there should be certain pollinating agents like wind, water, air, or we can also consider insects and birds, where the pollen grains are transferred with the help of pollinating agents, that is air, water, insects and birds. Here in this image, when you have a look, the pollen grains are transferred from anther to stigma of a same plant. This type of pollination is called as self-pollination. When we come across with cross-pollination, the pollen grains are transferred from one flower to another flower. That means the anther that is transferred from one flower to another flower. Such pollination is called as cross-pollination. In bisexual, the self-fertilizing plants, example is pea plant, or we can also consider hibiscus, where the male reproductive part and the female reproductive part are present in the same individual. That is, anther and stigma are very much close to each other, so the pollination happens very easy, or the transfer of pollen grains is very much easy. Whereas in cross-pollinating plants, including dioecious plants, that is, the pollination helps in transfer of pollen grains. We can take example of honeybee, where it transfers the pollen grains from anther of one plant and it carries to the stigma of another plant, and that is how the pollination happens. And we can also see variety of flowers with respect to cross pollination. Here the pollen grains mostly germinate in the stigma of a flower. During that time, the pollen tube is produced. The pollen tube is nothing but the outgrowth. During pollination, the pollen tube will be produced, which carries the male reproductive part towards the ovary. When it reaches towards the ovary, it will get detached. The male reproductive part will get detached with the egg, and that is how pollination takes place. Whereas in dioecious animals, the fertilization helps successful transfer and coming together of gametes, where the male gametes get fused with female gametes for undergoing fertilization to form a new individual. This process we called as fertilization, and it is also called as syngamy.